Welcome to the first General Assembly. My name is Hanan Arab and I will be your moderator for this conference. Before us today on the agenda we have two topics. The first topic discusses nuclear proliferation and the second topic discusses child soldiers. We will move into roll call. Please note that present indicates that you are allowed to abstain, and present and voting means you are not allowed to abstain. China. France.
Present and voting.
Thank you. Germany.
Present and voting.
Japan. Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Present and voting.
Malaysia. Kuwait.
Present and voting.
Thank you. Nigeria.
Present.
Thank you. Russia.
Present and voting.
Noted. Sweden.
Present and voting.
Thailand.
Present and voting.
UAE.
Present and voting.
UK.
Present and voting.
US. And Yemen.
Present.
That is in order. Thank you, delegates. We will now move into motions and points. Are there any motions or points on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Nigeria, you have been recognized. To what point or motion do you rise?
Motion to set the agenda to topic 2 followed by topic 1.
That is in order. Thank you, delegate. We will now open the speakers list to entertain the motion on the floor. Any speakers wishing to speak for or against this motion, please raise your placards now. Germany, UK, Russia, France, Nigeria, you have been recognized in that order. Germany, you now have the floor.
The delegate of Germany believes the agenda should be set to topic 2 followed by topic 1. It's due to the rising importance and intensity of the question of child soldiers. They lack basic protection and recognition. Their assimilation into society after an armed conflict is also a matter of concern to the international community. We yield our remaining time back to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. Delegate that just came in, please note that you have arrived late. Please send us a note indicating your voting position and the reason for your late arrival. Thank you, delegate of Germany. That is in order. Delegate of the UK, you now have the floor.
Thank you. Honorable delegates, most esteemed chairs, the topics at hand are of pressing concern. Although it is proving difficult to arrange them according to priority, we believe that we must address first the question of child soldiers, followed by nuclear proliferation. As the delegate of Germany stated, child soldiers lack the back ability and system to rehabilitate and assimilate back into civil society post-conflict. We yield our remaining time back to the chair.
Delegate of Nigeria, you now have the floor.
Delegates, children are our source of joy. They are the epitome of innocence, and we must take any measure necessary to protect them. Due to government instability in Nigeria, the recruitment and use of child soldiers has been on the rise with organized terrorist groups. We believe this issue must be discussed, first due to the importance of the topic. Additionally, we must also attempt to tackle this question and resolve it.
Nigeria, your speaking time has elapsed. Thank you. Seeing as the speakers list has been exhausted, we will now move into voting procedure for the motion set forth by the delegate of Nigeria. Please be reminded that you may not abstain during procedural votes. All those wishing to vote for this motion, please raise your placards now. Please lower your placards. All those wishing to vote against, please raise your placards now. Please lower your placards. Due to an overwhelming majority, this motion passes. The agenda has been set to topic 2 followed by topic 1. Are there any motions or points on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Delegate of Thailand, to what motion do you rise?
Motion to open the speakers list with the individual speaking time of 30 seconds.
That is in order. Thank you, delegate. Are there any other points or motions on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Delegate of Japan, to what motion do you rise?
Motion to suspend the meeting.
Thank you, delegate. That is in order. We will now move into voting procedure for Thailand's proposed motion, followed by Japan's. All those in favor of opening the speakers list for 30 seconds, please raise your placards now. Thank you, delegates. Please lower your placards. All those wishing to vote against the motion, please raise your placards now. Due to an overwhelming majority, this motion passes. The speakers list is now open with an individual speaking time of 30 seconds. Any speakers wishing to be added to the speakers list, please raise your placards now. Kuwait, followed by the UAE, followed by Saudi Arabia, followed by Yemen, then Sweden, then the UK, Germany, Russia, France, Japan, and Thailand. You have been added to the speakers list in that order. Kuwait, you have the floor.
In 1996, Kuwait stated to the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child that no one under 18 years of age is permitted to enlist for military service. The state of Kuwait strongly believes that by prohibiting underage children, it can prevent the involvement of children in armed conflicts. Moreover, according to Article 32 of the Army Act No. 32 of 1967, everyone appointed to serve in the Army must be over 21 years of age. Kuwait strongly advocates for the protection of children and...
Please yield the floor to the chair.
I yield my time to the chair.
Delegates, please refrain from using personal pronouns such as I and you. The delegate of the UAE, you may now address the committee. Delegates, please note that note passing is for strictly formal purposes. Please keep it diplomatic and appropriate. Inappropriate notes passed between delegates will be confiscated and brought to our attention. Thank you.
A frightening number of children are being enlisted in militias of Somalia and Yemen, leading to their death mid-battle. In 2011, the UAE held 4 days of meetings of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and local aid agencies, dealing largely with child protection and peaceful resolution to the strife in Yemen and Somalia. That alone showcases the UAE's position on child soldiers. The UAE aims to protect children from participating in wars, especially those of which enroll children by non-state actors. The delegate yields the time to the chair.
Thank you, delegate. That is in order. Delegate of Saudi Arabia, you've been recognized. Delegates, please note that your informal attire has just come to our attention, and due to that, you will not be allowed to address the committee for the rest of the day. You must appear before the committee in formal dressed appropriately. Please take your seat. Thank you. Are there any motions or points on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards. Please raise your placards now. Delegate of Kuwait, to what motion do you rise?
Motion to be added to the speakers list.
Delegate, that motion is out of order. Please be reminded that if you want to be added to the speakers list, you may request it by passing a note to the moderators indicating for such. Are there any other motions on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Germany, to what motion do you rise?
Motion for deliberative caucus to define a child for 15 minutes, with an individual speaking time of 45 seconds.
Thank you, delegate. That is in order. We now have a motion to move into a moderated caucus for the total time of 15 minutes with an individual speaking time of 45 seconds regarding the topic of defining a child. We will now move into voting procedure for this motion. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. All those opposed? Due to an overwhelming majority, this motion passes. We will now be addressing the question of defining a soldier for the next 15 minutes with an individual speaking time of 45 seconds. All those wishing to be added to the speakers list of this moderated caucus, please raise your placards now. France, followed by Germany, followed by Thailand, followed by Nigeria, and then the UAE. Thank you, delegates. Thank you, delegates. The time for the moderated caucus has now elapsed. We will now be moving back into the general speakers list. Delegate of Yemen, you've been recognized.
Good evening, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. The country of Yemen has been war-torn for decades, which has paved the path for extremist groups and tribal warfare to use children in their military action. This has had negative implications on the children's lives as it created a gap in their education, meaning they do not have sustainable means to live productive and secure adult lives. The delegate of Yemen yields the floor.
That is in order. Thank you, delegate. Delegate of Russia, you have been recognized.
Honorable delegates, the question of nuclear proliferation is of extreme importance. Before us today, we must discuss the question of nuclear safety and protection before the question of child soldiers. due to the increasing interest in the field of nuclear energy and weapons. Thank you. I yield my time back to the chair.
Delegate of France, please refrain from using personal pronouns, such as I and me. Are there any motions or points on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Delegate of the UAE, followed by the delegate of Japan, followed by the delegate of the UK, followed by the delegate of Germany. Delegate of the UAE, to what point or motion do you rise?
Motion to suspend the meeting for half an hour to draft the resolution.
Delegate, please note that suspending the meeting means that you will take a recess for purposes other than informal debate. Would you like to readdress or reword your motion?
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 30 minutes to draft resolutions.
Delegate, please also note that an unmoderated caucus does not require a purpose, just the time. So may you please reword your motion?
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 30 minutes.
That is in order. Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Japan, to what point or motion do you rise?
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 60 minutes.
Delegate, please rise and state your motion.
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 60 minutes.
That is in order. Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of the UK, to what point or motion do you rise?
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 45 minutes.
Delegates, please refrain from laughing and maintain decorum. Thank you, Delegate. Delegate of Germany, to what point or motion do you rise?
Motion for an unmoderated caucus for 15 minutes.
Thank you, Delegate. That is in order. We will now vote on the motions in the order that we have received them. We will first vote on the motion of the UAE from the delegate of the UAE for an unmoderated caucus for 30 minutes. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your placards now. Please lower your placards. All those opposed, please raise your placards now. Due to 6 votes, 5 votes for, and 7 votes against, this motion fails. We will now move into voting on Japan's motion to suspend for an unmoderated caucus for 60 minutes. All those in favor, please raise your placards now. Please lower your placards. All those opposed? Thank you, delegates. With 6 votes for and 5 against, this motion passes. We will now move into an unmoderated caucus. The numbers don't add up. We have 12 delegates. Why do we have 11 votes?
Who's not voting?
Delegates, we have 12 members in the present in the committee and 11 votes. We will now do a re-vote on Japan's motion. All those wishing to vote for the motion, please raise your placards now. All those opposed, please raise your placards. Thank you, delegates. With 7 votes for and 5 against, this motion passes. We will now be moving into an unmoderated caucus for 60 minutes. Seeing as the time is 4:05, the committee will reconvene at 5:05. Thank you, delegates. No, you stay in the room. Delegates, please note that you must stay in the room. Delegates, the House is now in order. Please take your seats. Delegates, decorum. Are there any points or motions on the floor at this time? Please raise your placards now. Delegate of Yemen, to what motion or point do you rise?
Motion to suspend the meeting.
That is in order. Thank you, delegate. We will now move into voting procedure on this motion. All those in favor of suspending the meeting, please raise your placards now. Due to an overwhelming majority, this motion passes. Please note that we will reconvene in this room in the next committee session. Thank you, delegates.